Hi Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. This is your October 2016 forecast. So September, a month of a lot of flux and change. 2 eclipses affecting your house of career and your private life, your domestic terrain, your home, and your personal, private, emotional life. So it could have been quite disruptive. That Saturn-Neptune square that's been plaguing us, or had plagued us most of the year, is now out of effect. But that added a lot of pessimism, doom and gloom. And Sagittarius is a sign that's driven by ideals and optimism. So if you take away the hope, it's really stripped down to nothing. So it can be hard to find a reason even to live. So it's very encouraging that October is so much more harmonious. Jupiter has moved into Libra and can now really get established there now that all that flux and change has settled and things have become more established. Mercury, which was also retrograde, meant going over and doing and redoing certain tasks. And for you, that would have been in the 10th house. So, that could have gotten tedious pretty fast. So, tired of the slog and routine and, things not really getting impetus to move forward. So, like I said, October is said to be a more harmonious month. So let's look at what's happening. Jupiter moved into Libra, into your 11th house. And Jupiter is that planet of growth, learning, teaching, optimism, and so opens up avenues for learning, understanding, traveling, adding to your experience of the world and enhancing the breadth of your knowledge. And in Libra, a lot more social sign, so it's an air sign, so Jupiter here working social connections. And for you, of course, Jupiter is in your 11th house, which is friendships and groups and hopes and aspirations. So it's really about you feeling hopeful again and confident and supported by friends and networks. And it's going to be very important for you to work that social scene, and really see how, your friendships can enhance your ideas and hopes and dreams, and how you can help other people advance their ideals, hopes and dreams in turn. So, like I said, good time to make that effort to get out there and, get out into the public and, walk the talk. So what else is happening this month? Mars is in Capricorn and in your 2nd house. So Mars, that warrior planet, which is aggressive, goal-driven, determined, wants to see the results of actions and to achieve dreams and ambitions aggressively. So, Mars is in your financial sector this month in Capricorn. And in Capricorn, Mars is very hardworking and efficient and resourceful. So there's going to be a big drive for you to generate more income. And, because in our society, we really equate income with self-worth. So this could be a sore point for some of us. Or, alternatively, there will be an over-identification with what we own and what we earn as a measure of self-worth, which isn't entirely true either. So, but Mars in the 2nd house sector, it's pushing to increase your self-worth through possessions, through money, through income. And in Capricorn, it's really going to be goal-orientated and structured and disciplined about achieving that end. So working very hard to generate new income revenue streams, but also spending often as much as he earns. So there'll be sometimes this month where that irresistible attraction to something that you really desire is going to be insurmountable, and you might have to just succumb to the temptation. And a bit more of a gambling instinct. So just make sure you thought things through beforehand. So the new moon on the 1st of October, it's the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter lined up in your 11th house. Like I said, the house of hopes, dreams, and aspirations. So this is a lovely housewarming partner for Jupiter, party for Jupiter in Libra. So like I said, this is the house where we think about, ways that we can make a difference in the world, what we really, really want to accomplish. And, it can be altruistic in the sense of volunteer work. And, we feed these sorts of aspirations through groups that we associate with and through charitable works and acts and things that we associate with. So like I said, it's about feeling supported and being supportive in turn. So the startup of new projects around friendships, around groups, around hopes and dreams with the start of this month. And with favorable aspects to Saturn, this is going to help you structure or plan, for those things, to decide what steps need to be taken to achieve those goals. Because Jupiter, although a very optimistic and expansive and, a planet that dreams big and thinks big and, wants to do as much as possible to enhance experiences, doesn't always get the practical results. So the favorable aspects with Saturn are really going to help those hopes and dreams find real world expression for you. So use those aspects, especially the first 2 weeks of the month, to get projects around those things that you really want or desire, your goals and ambitions and dreams, off the ground. This is also the house of income from business, so it can start to show the potential developments over the next year while Jupiter is in Libra, for generating more income about, professionally and receiving more professional recognition and reward. So, like I said, in Mars in your second house, so the 11th and the second house very strong this month. So it's, expanding your resources through social connections, using your social connections to open up new avenues for making money. So see what you can do and how you can get out there, and really use the social aspects to engage with other people, to learn from their experiences and to modify your action plans. So on the 1st, Venus is trining Neptune, and Venus is in your 12th house at this time. So Venus in the 12th, it can show creative work being done behind the scenes. So if you're a writer, painter, musician, or doing any kind of reflective work, often, we have to do these things on our own. So it can be working behind the scenes on something beautiful, on something creative, or it could be the startup of a romantic infatuation that you're keeping to yourself. So, or something that nobody else knows about but you. So maybe it's just a personal private fantasy and you're enjoying it for the time being. So on the 4th, that Sun sextile Saturn aspect perfects. And like I said, this aspect you really want to use to make a structured, goal-orientated action plan to realize those hopes and dreams. So what practical steps do you have to take to achieve what your heart's desire? So, learn from trusted peers and respected authority figures that are appropriate. And like I said, break it down into small, sizable steps that you can accomplish. So use the first 2 weeks to really run with that. So on the 5th, Mars will be squaring Jupiter, and Jupiter in your 11th and Mars in your 2nd. This can show risky business, spending more than you earn, perhaps relying too heavily on friends or groups for financial support, and you actually shouldn't. So don't get ahead of yourself. Jupiter often does, and it's adding to that strong Martian energy. So the tendency to overreach or overextend financially, over rely on friends for financial support or groups for backing is definitely going to be there. So just temper that instinct a little bit and wait and see. So on the 7th, Pluto and Sun are in hard aspect. So this is again the houses of friends, groups, and money. So Pluto and the Sun, this can unearth some uncomfortable issues, or tensions. So it could be something as straightforward as arguing about money with a friend or with a group, or, perhaps you're not getting the backing that you wanted. So this can bring those things to light. But this is a useful aspect in terms of a reevaluation. Like now you know what the issues are, those hidden tensions have surfaced. So now you can deal with them and tackle them constructively. So it could be a power struggle, literally speaking with somebody else, or just an overhaul where issues come to light and now you deal with them. Okay, so on the 11th, Mercury is joining Jupiter in your 11th house, and Mercury moving through your 11th house from the 7th of October is anyway going to add to the hustle and bustle and walking the talk and hopefully more social opportunities. So Mercury very industrious and busy and sociable in the 11th, so putting you into contact with people, getting your ideas heard. So finding those sounding boards for your ideas is going to be very important. Venus is still in the 12th house until the 18th of the month, so perhaps you're keeping your affections or a real sense of connection to yourself, but you're still working social platforms and putting your ideas out there into the world, but perhaps you're not connecting with people on a deep personal level, or perhaps that's just happening in private and behind the scenes for you. So Mercury joining Jupiter in the 11th house, this is a very good aspect for concluding business deals or starting business deals, because the 11th house also deals with income from our profession. So this aspect makes you more persuasive, it gives you a broad grasp of the issues. And Mars is also sextiling Neptune at this time. So Mars isn't quite as hasty as an impulsive with a Neptune aspect. It kind of tempers it a little bit. So you're more inclined to be reflective and philosophical about things as opposed to just charging ahead. So very good for business talks, negotiations, persuasion, and, so an optimistic placement. So good for getting together with friends too, and for communications and networking, generally speaking. And like I said, Mercury will be in the 11th house. So working the social scenes and getting your ideas out into the world. So the full moon this month on the 16th of October is going to be in your 5th house. So the moon is going to be conjunct Uranus and the sun is going to be opposing from the 11th house. So it's these social houses that are involved. So full moon, there's the tendency, things come to a head or culminate, or light is shed on a certain issue. So with Uranus, one can expect the unexpected. And you really can't say which way things are going to go. Sometimes it's surprises that are pleasant, and sometimes it's surprises that are really unpleasant. So because it's your social houses, it could be that a conflict with a friend or with a lover, and because the sun and the moon could be men or women, it's hard to say where it's going to come from. But it could also be the opposite, the start of a romance or the start of a friendship. Or it's something as straightforward as an invitation or an outing for a social gathering that comes out of the blue. So, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be unpleasant. You can just see which way the winds of change go. So, on the 19th, Mars is conjuncting Pluto in your 2nd house. And like I said, Mars in the 2nd house is, money, possessions orientated, and conjunct Pluto. This is one of those days where you might just make that impulsive buy. There's irresistible force or desire to have something is going to get ahead of you. And, Mars is, generally speaking, in the 2nd house, quite results orientated and wants things faster than yesterday. So if you have been holding back on an impulse purchase, you may not be able to do so at this time. So just make sure it's something that really is really valuable to you. So like I said, maybe time for that shopping spree. So on the 23rd, the sun moves into Scorpio and into your 12th house. So this is where the sun is every year in the month leading up to the new birthday cycle. So this is a period of reflection and review, of planning and strategizing, sorting out things that don't serve you any longer, perhaps recharging your batteries. So it's just considering where you want to go before the next birthday cycle or solar year for you. So like I said, use this period of reflection and review to decide what you want to let go of and what you want to commit to in the new year. So not doom and gloom, the 12th house. Like I said, it's just a customary holding pattern prior to the birthday month. So like I said, review the year before and, kind of looking at new goals and opportunities, but not taking action just yet. So like I said, a bit of a pause and review until the birthday cycle begins. So Mars is also opposing Uranus on the 29th of October. Again, could be risky business or a risky speculative venture. So Mars and Uranus together, a little bit more accident prone, rash and impulsive. So this wouldn't be a good time for a risky speculative investment or a financial gamble. It's just a little bit too chancy. So on the 29th, you might, if something comes up out of the blue, don't run with it. Just pause and reflect and figure things out first before you gamble all your resources on something that isn't necessarily going to have a payoff for you. So generally speaking, this month, don't gamble all your resources. It's not a good time for get rich quick schemes or anything like that. Like I said, Mars is going to be quite impatient here and, wanting things very quickly, but that doesn't always pay out. So don't gamble your resources. Don't over rely on friends. Think things through. So don't invest your entire savings plan in something that seems too good to be true. So on the 29th, Venus, which has been in your 1st house, increasing from the 18th of October, increasing your attractivity, product, popularity, making you perhaps want to beautify yourself even cosmetically. So you'll be focused more on your appearance and, so putting, your best foot forward and ingratiating yourself with others. So like I said, Venus here makes you pretty popular. But on the 29th, Venus conjunct Saturn. So this can kind of go both ways. This can be a reality check because Venus is love, leisure, luxury, and, affection. And Saturn is more careful and cautious and restrictive. So this can either be you getting a reality check and cooling off. So perhaps something that you've been fantasizing about, you decided, it really wasn't based in reality and it's time to let it go. Or it can alternatively mean committing in a long-term sense. So it can also signify loyal partnerships and loyal affection. So, but only if it's grounded in reality and if it's got long-term potential. So you'll have to see how this consolidating energy works out, because it can either bring things together or make you cool off a little bit. So on the 30th of October, it's the new moon in Scorpio in the 12th house for you. Like I said, this is that period of reflection and review before the new birthday cycle. The sun, moon, and Mercury are trining Neptune, so this is a favorable aspect for, thinking about things in a more light-hearted way, doing some imaginative or artistic exploration. So not thinking about things so seriously, you might be reading self-help books, you might be, thinking about how you can improve things, or just indulging in literature and art for inspiration. So use this private period to really think big and dream big, and you don't have to think about the practical reality just yet. You want to think about all the seeds that you want to plant for the new solar year. So anyway, thank you for listening, and if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.